Hello, English 3, and welcome back to Argumentative Writing. And just as a reminder, everything for this unit is under Passion Project in Google Classroom. So if you need any resources or to go back and look at a different step, it should all be under there. Also, an additional reminder, don't forget that your vocabulary homework for word list number 3 is due on Friday night. It is going to be much easier for you if you do a few words every day rather than try to do it all at once. So don't forget about that as well. So today we're going to move on to the next step of the writing process. So if you remember from that diagram, we first started by defining our purpose and audience. Then we wrote our thesis statement yesterday. And so today we're going to work on pre-writing. So kind of generating that content and our thoughts behind our thesis statement and behind our ideas. So kind of starting to brainstorm, flesh things out, make connections, and all of that other good stuff. So today we're going to have 4 different ones that I'm going to walk you through how to do. I'd like you to spend at least 5 minutes on each of them. The reality is some of these you might like a lot, some of them might not work as well for you, and that's okay. If you find one that you really like, or if there's another pre-writing strategy that works really well for you, feel free to do that as well to kind of prep yourself for the next step of the writing process. Which is research. So I just have a bit of a silly thesis here as an example. So pancakes are the superior breakfast food because they're sweet, fluffy, and easy to make. So this is just a silly example, obviously, but I'm going to kind of use it to show you how to do these different pre-writing exercises. So you are going to start with your thesis, whatever that is, that you should have written yesterday. And the first thing you're going to do is actually to do a cluster. And so clustering is actually what we did with the writing process diagram. It's that same kind of idea of like the bubbles. So in the beginning, or in the middle, I guess I should say, I would probably put something along the lines of my thesis. Bear with me, this is slow going, doing it on my Chromebook. And then you will make branches that branch out from that. So from your thesis, what are some main points or main ideas that you think of? So I'm going to just put an S here for sweet, since that's one of those things that I mentioned up here in my thesis. Then I'm going to go ahead and go here and do fluffy. Once again, that's up in my thesis. So this is a good way to start this, is to look back at your thesis and what are some of the things you're saying there. I'll just put an E here for easy to make. You might actually want to write things out. I'm abbreviating because I am using my Chromebook and it's a little bit more difficult. Then you also might even want to do something. I'm going to do a CA for counter arguments. So maybe things that other people would say that I could kind of do a rebuttal for. And then I'm going to branch it out even more. So how are they sweet? So maple syrup. Maybe I'll say golden brown. Then maybe I even want to think like, what are they sweet in comparison to? So not bacon or sausage. I'm going to just draw a piece of bacon for that. Fluffy, same idea. So I think in opposition to waffles here. Then maybe I'm going to jump down here to easy to make and also go along the way of thinking of waffles. So you have to use a waffle iron to make waffles, and that's a little bit inconvenient. Then for counter arguments, maybe I would think of the other breakfast foods that other people would say. So maybe like granola, or someone may say, let's see, I mean, we could do waffles again. Or maybe we could even branch out and think of like people who don't eat breakfast. So how would I convince those people to agree with me in my argument? Okay, And like I said, this is a bit of a silly example, but maybe something that you can kind of see how we can begin to branch off. And you might even go into more detail from one of these third bubbles, just depending on where your brain goes. So try and do that for almost 5 minutes, and you're going to just keep going and building bubbles. I'd actually recommend to do this on paper. I think it would be much easier. But for now, you might just use my example here. Okay, so then after that, the next thing I want you to do is you would choose one of your clusters and you would free write over it. We've done a ton of free writing, so I'm not going to explain too much, but for the ones I had, maybe I would talk about one of my counter arguments or maybe one of those main points that are up here, and I would just free write for 5 minutes over it. Or if I get stuck in that 5 minutes, maybe I'll jump to another bubble and keep going. So free writing you all are pretty good at this point. So then after that, I want you to draw for 5 minutes over your topic. I know for some of you that sounds super intimidating and you maybe aren't visual learners, and so that might be a little bit more difficult, but give it a try because I know for some of you, you'll probably really enjoy that. So I might simply just draw my topic. These are going to be my very crude looking pancakes. Oh yeah, they're not looking very good. So I might just draw my topic. I might branch out and think about some of those arguments or things that I was talking about, like maybe, so sweet, I'm drawing some syrup. Maybe then I would branch off and think about maybe like easy to make. So like this will be my attempt at a waffle iron. And you can kind of branch out in those different ways with drawing. Like just wherever your mind takes you and whatever you want to explore that way visually to kind of work on thinking more about your topic, whatever works for you. So you can do something like this. You might, depending on your topic, you might branch out into different areas, maybe even thinking about like emotional appeals, whatever works for you. Okay, and then the last thing you're going to do is you're going to free write for 5 minutes doing a devil's advocate. So basically what that means is you're going to think of the other side of your argument. So remember, every single one of us should have, there should be someone that could oppose our argument for our thesis. So what would the other side say? What would they argue for? And you're going to write as if you're arguing against your thesis for 5 minutes. So same concept as free writing, just a little bit more focused. And so I want you to be able to use that to build counter arguments in the future. And that's all that we're going to do. So I hope that those are helpful and kind of warming up and thinking about your topics and your theses a bit more. And we will jump into research tomorrow and kind of looking at how we can find sources to then back up some of the stuff we've worked on today. All right. Have a good day. I'm looking forward to seeing all of your pre-writing.